Alrighty, YouTube, it's your boy Zxous, and we're back with another Goddess of Victory Nikke video. And in today's video, we're actually going to be talking about all the possible characters that will work best with Mast, right? Now, a lot of people have been asking me, hey Zxous, is this character going to work with Mast? Is this character going to work with Mast? What characters are going to work with Mast, right? So we're going to be talking about all the characters that are going to work great with Mast, and why they're going to be working great with Mast, right? But before we begin, let's try to get 20 likes on this video. And we are doing the nanogenics challenge, so if you are new, right, well, let's try to get like 10 new subscribers off this video, because you know your boy is literally giving you the information you need. Your boy got you covered, right? I'm your insurance. I'm literally keeping y'all busy the entire day with a boatload of videos. Stop playing with me and hit that damn subscribe button, boy. What you doing still? What you waiting for? A cookie? My boy, hit that sub button. I'll wait. Did you hit that sub button? My boy, hit that. Okay. Anyways, so we're gonna be talking about the characters that work best with Mast. Now, obviously, this is an interesting character because Mast is a character that when you use her burst skill, she actually increases the max HP of herself and two allies with the highest attack, right? But she does that without restoring, you know, HP for her and the two allies with the highest attack. Now, the reason why this is very unique is because there's a lot of characters in this game who get effects where they have to be under a certain percentage of HP, and by increasing their max HP by over 86 or by 86.2% at level 10 skills, of course, you're basically putting their max HP like less than the percentage that they need to be at for them to get their full capability. This is actually going to be a very good character with a lot of other characters in the game. So we're going to talk about who this character works with and stuff like that. Not to mention she's a crit buffer. So we're going to talk about that. So obviously, the one that everyone knows already is a Guillotine. I guess that's how you say her name. I was always saying Guillotine, but people told me in my live stream yesterday that her name is pronounced Guillotine. So my bad. Her name is Guillotine, not Guillotine. For how long have I been calling her Guillotine, bro? I'm so sad, bro. But yeah, her name is Guillotine. And a character like this who recently got a buff is actually going to benefit heavily from Mast because, again, let me remove that part. Mast is a character who, again, increases max HP, lowers it, and increases crit rate and crit damage. The thing is, Guillotine gets stronger the lower her HP is. Not to mention, she does already increase her crit rate and crit damage when she lands a certain amount of normal attacks, right? Obviously, 30 normal attacks, you get the 9% crit rate buff, which is always going to happen because she's an AR. No, she's a machine gun, actually. Right, she's a machine gun, so she's always going to have that 9.28% crit rate buff, or whatever percent it is for you on your levels. And then actually 150 normal attacks increases her crit damage for 5 seconds, and in 5 seconds you can actually get 150 normal attacks in, right? So this is a character who's always going to have that crit rate and crit buff. That crit rate and crit damage buff active, and then when she loses her HP, she gets an attack buff, right? 0.96%. For every 1% of HP loss. So with a character who's increasing their crit rate and crit damage even more, right, on the burst skill and the first skill, when your HP falls below 70%, lowering the enemy's defense and literally just putting their HP below 70%, we're going to be proccing a lot of stuff for Guillotine right here, right? Obviously, her burst skill deals an additional 1,200% if you are below 50% HP. And then remember, Guillotine also does lower her own HP. And then obviously, when you're past 70%, like I said before, you get an attack buff for every 1% HP loss. So this is literally going to be like the best pair up yet. Like, these two might be the best pair up together. And they're both Elysion. So that's going to be good for the Elysion tower, right? Because she's going to be your main DPS, and then she's going to be like the main support for your main DPS, basically. Now, another character that will be good with this character is actually Aria. Now, Aria is an attacker as well. So you can actually have Aria have the highest attack stat, but you don't want to have that because Aria is more of a crit buffer as well, right? And the thing is, when you enter a full burst, all allies get a crit damage buff of 26.99% for 10 seconds. And then when the last bullet hits, all allies have their crit rate increased by 7.03%. So I feel like if you run Aria and Mast together, you're gonna have basically 2 crit buff supporters on your team for your main DPSs, right? Aria, again, goes to all allies regardless, so you're fine there. Literally all allies will get this crit rate and crit damage, so you don't have to worry too much. And then Mast will give it to herself and the 2 attackers with the highest attack. It could be Aria herself if you do want your Aria to do the most damage, but don't forget Aria only does damage on her normal attack. There's no other way for her to do damage besides from her normal attack. So like I wouldn't really depend on that. It's a machine gun, so it could work, but you probably want to be running Aria with this character on the same team. The only thing is Aria is also a burst 2 with a 40-second cooldown. So by running Aria and Mast, you're going to have a burst 1, a 2-2, and a 3-3 comp, right? So 1 burst 1, 2 burst 2s being Aria and Mast, and then 2 burst 3s, of course. Right, but that burst 1 also has to be a 20-second cooldown character as well, so most likely later for even more of an attack buff, right? Also, I never mentioned it, but make sure you guys comment down below of characters you want or characters you think are also going to work with Mast that I didn't mention in this video. So yeah, I think Aria is going to be another character right beside her. That's good. Another character, Scarlet. Obviously, Scarlet's whole thing is this lower HP she has, the stronger she gets. Now, it's not in a sense where if she loses, you know, like 20% HP, let's say, right? Because it stacks it 5 times. If she loses 20% HP, she gets a 100% attack buff. This first skill actually doesn't really do much for, like, Mast basically increasing their max HP but lowering their HP essentially doesn't really do much for her first skill. It really comes into play for her burst and second skill, right? Because when she falls below 60%, she gets a crit damage buff of 6.61% continuously, and then obviously on her burst skill she gets her crit rate increased by damn near 20% for 10 seconds when it's below 50%, which is very, very good. So you're gonna basically hit very, very hard with a character like this, and Scarlet is going to have the most attack on your team, there's no question. So these two is just a very nice combo here, right? But the first skill, you only get the attack buff and you lose HP when you land 10 normal attacks. It's not really when you lose HP, right? Like it's worded like that, but if I just lose HP, I'm not gonna get the attack buff. I have to land 10 normal attacks to get the attack buff, right? But Scarlet is gonna be another character who works great with this character. Another character that is gonna work great is actually Snow White, right? Because Snow White actually, when you enter a full burst, increases her own crit rate by 26.1% for 10 seconds. Again, it's gonna be very, very good because her burst skill is like a one-shot kill type. It hits very, very hard. It hits very, very hard. So for her to increase her own crit rate by 26.1% when you enter a full burst is very, very, very big. But remember, this activates after the first 15 seconds of your burst of the match. So you're probably going to want to have Snow White second, or anytime you use her burst skill after the first 15 seconds of the battle, then you're going to want to use her burst skill. But when you are using Snow White with her, guess what? She is going to have the what's it called, the crit rate and crit damage buff. I would just highly recommend using a Snow White second as your second burst 3 character, because again, remember, the crit rate buff is only for the first 30 seconds of the battle. With Snow White, you have to wait at least 15 seconds of the battle already to get that crit rate buff, right? From when you enter a full burst. So that's most likely the second time you enter a full burst, you should be fine. And then you can use her burst skill and boom, right? You're good to go. So keep that in mind. Julia. Now this is a character that gets no love, but her whole kit is a crit character, right? Not a crit buff, but she's a crit character, right? Every 20 seconds after the first 20 seconds of the match, she's going to actually be increasing her own crit rate by 26.04% for 10 seconds every other 10 seconds after the first 20 seconds of the battle, basically, because it lasts for 10 seconds, right? But what's crazy about this character is that when the last bullet hits, and she only has 60 bullets, when the last bullet hits, she increases her crit damage by 24.79%, and that stacks up to 5 times and lasts for 15 seconds. So basically this is gonna be nasty, I'm not gonna lie. The only thing is like, no, she's gonna hit quite nasty, I'm not gonna lie. With this already being that big, and then her increasing her crit rate, and then having Mast increase her crit rate and the crit damage more if you obviously have her with the highest attack, which you can because she's an attacker, it's gonna be a very nice combination, Julia and Mast. So definitely remember that for sure, right? This is definitely something I want to try out, because I feel like Julia gets no love, but I feel like with Mast you can get a lot going here, right? Will Julia start hitting the hardest on your team? No, because unfortunately, I never even mentioned this, but crit damage in this game is not really that big of an impact as it is in other games, right? Obviously, it is doing something in this game, but it's not going to take their damage from like 1 million without crits to like 10 million with crits, like other games, if that makes sense. Right? So yeah, but this is going to be a very nice combination because she's already increasing her own crit damage by over 100% when that's fully stacked up. She's increasing her own crit rate every other 10 seconds after the first 20 seconds on top of all this, right? Remember, when Mast uses her burst skill, all allies or the 2 allies with the highest attack are already getting an additional 76% crit damage buff on top of the crit rate for the first 30 seconds, right? So it's very good. And she's lowering the enemy's defense as well, right? By what? Down near 100% if she's fully stacked up. So that's very good. Modernia. Now, Modernia is just a character who, what's it called? Obviously, she also stacks up her crit damage when you land 200 normal attacks, right? That's why I say she's going to work well with her, because literally after 200 normal attacks, increases her crit damage by 14.25%. That stacks up to 5 times. So she's already hitting hard when she crits, and Modernia does crit a lot, surprisingly. It's not really a surprise. She's a machine gun, so she's going to crit here and there, of course. But she already crits consistently, so obviously with Mast, it's just going to be 1 million times better, right? Obviously, right? So Modernia is just self-explanatory. She has unlimited bullets as well, and that's also going to be like, it's very broken. Modernia, this character, right? Now, a character that is going to work with Mast, like for Mast herself, is actually Noir, right? Because the thing with Mast is that this defense buff, right, it only lasts for 3 seconds, or yeah, the defense debuff, I mean, it only lasts for 3 seconds. So you don't want to like lose any of this, because when it's fully stacked up, if you don't obviously what's it called, crit 2 times within 3 seconds, you're going to lose it. And if you're reloading and you don't end up critting 2 times within the remaining time you have, including your reload time, then you're gonna lose all of it. With someone like Noir, this isn't really doing much, but it is actually. Noir will, every time you enter a full burst, you will actually reload the mag and stuff like that. It could be quite useful for a character like this, so she doesn't have to reload and she always just is shooting, right? She's not gonna have infinite shots, but this is going to definitely keep her covered majority of the time in the game. So Noir isn't like really that like impactful for her, but you can definitely use Noir as an option for Mast. So these are all the characters that I think are going to work best with Mast. You guys definitely let me know. I think who's going to work very good with Mast is Julia. It's going to be very cool to see Julia probably put up way more numbers now because of how she already works. Obviously, like I said before, if you want to have 2 crit buffers on your team, Aria is going to be another great option to have beside Mast, with probably Scarlet and Modernia if that's what you're into. And then obviously Scarlet, like all these characters are going to work well with Mast. So like I said in not in beginning, but like the middle of the video, let me know what characters you guys think is also going to work with Mast that I didn't mention. These are just a couple options for you guys. I also tried to include some characters that people don't really use, like Julia and Aria, of course. So you guys let me know what you think. Make sure you guys like this video. Let's try to get 20 likes. And like I said, we are doing the Nanogenics challenge. So let's try to get 10 new subscribers off this one video. If this video was helpful for you in any type of way, hit that sub, because your boy is literally consistent as hell. So yeah, it's your boy Zxous. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out later. Peace.